This episode is presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Bryan Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center. Dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs, it provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to the Explore Local podcast presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development, produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson. Today we have Donna Christensen, who is the chair on the board or the committee for
the committee, yes.
The committee for the Cedar Livestock and Heritage Festival. Donna, we're so glad to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So give everybody the old timers in Cedar, they know all about the Livestock and Heritage Festival, but this actually makes international news quite often. We'll get into why almost every year. So for those that aren't familiar with the Livestock and Heritage Festival or are new to town, or maybe there's old timers who know about it but don't know a lot about it. So give us the high level, the 30,000 foot of what it is and why you do it, and then we can dive into the nitty gritty, as I like to say.
Okay. Well, it started back, it's actually our 20th year this year. Way back 20 years ago or more.
So long ago.
It was a while, yeah. There's a livestock trail that comes down Cedar Mountain, and I think most people are aware of it. And all the farmers, not the farmers, but the ranchers would have their livestock, whether it be cattle or sheep, that they graze on their ranches up on Cedar Mountain. And they would trail them down the livestock trail down through where Walmart is now, through the town and out to their ranches and farmed land in the valley. So when the town started developing a little bit more and Walmart got in there, the Providence Center, and it started building up, it made it more difficult for people to walk their animals off the mountain with horses and on foot and that type of stuff. So it forced a lot of people to have to truck them off, which therefore the gas, the fuel, and put a lot of people out of business because they couldn't afford to do it. So there was a couple of people that, my dad being one of them, the Clarks, they said, we ought to do something to try to make a big deal out of this, to try to, help people understand why this is a big deal. And in some places they make it a parade. So we started it. We thought, okay, let's celebrate this. Let's see what we can do to get it started. And a lot of the people that are on the committee are the same people who got with us. Chad Reed was the extension agent at the time, and he really got behind us and got it moving.
Were you there from the start, too?
We were there from the start, yes.
What's your dad's name? You said your dad's name?
My dad's name is Matt Bullock.
Matt? Okay.
And we don't have sheep. We have no sheep, but we do have cattle. But we did get to a point where we're no longer able to walk our animals off the mountain. We have to truck them. Yeah.
Well, I remember, so right now, the area that, for those that aren't familiar, so there's Walmart on the south end of town, and right now there's like a Discount Tire that's being built on the opposite side of the freeway.
Correct.
And I remember when that was coming in, it was very important there was basically an easement that allows the sheep to come through, and maintaining that easement, or making sure that any businesses that come in are aware that once a year there may be sheep wandering onto their parking lot, and they need to know that kind of a thing, which is really unique. And what makes international news every year is we have our beautiful historic downtown that everybody, and I've said way too many times on this podcast, and I'll continue to say it way too many times. We have this beautiful historic downtown that's like a Hallmark movie, and then we have this parade of sheep that goes down. And it makes international news all the time.
Right.
So tell us more about the parade. And then there's a lot more than just the parade that we can talk about. But let's talk about the parade a little bit.
Okay. When the parade first started, we went because it came down this trail that we talked about that's out on the north end or south end, of Cedar City. And the very first time that we had it, we went from like where Home Depot is around Walmart and then down Cross Hollows Drive. The next year after that, we started doing it down Main Street, and it's just grown from there. But it was just, it started out small, of course, 20 years ago. All of the streets in Cedar City were livestock trails. 200 North, all of the big Main Street, I believe, would have to double check, but all of the streets, and there's still designated livestock trails in Cedar City. So a lot of the businesses and a lot of places that you go, Cross Hollows in front of the Diamond Z Arena, that's a big one because a lot of the big sheep herders still to this day will bring their herds of sheep down to go out into the valley. So they are designated livestock trails. They have easements and they can't be taken away. They've been there longer than we have for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk about the parade route specifically and what people can expect this year, what we've seen in past years. And I assume the parade itself portion hasn't changed quite a bit, but what typically happens during the parade itself in the historic downtown? We know sheep are walking through, but
the sheep are the last. They're the main event. It's grown to where we have longhorn cattle that come at the first of the parade.
Okay.
We've tried to keep this really historic or heritage. That's our name, the Cedar Livestock and Heritage. So it's not just about the livestock; it's about our heritage. So we have farm equipment. We have the old cow camps, sheep camps. We get everybody involved, and we want it to be a very unique parade. So if you get to the parade route, again, the Longhorns come. They're the first of the parade, and then you're going to see a display of antique cars, antique tractors. The sheep camps are huge. They're fun. We've got some of the farm equipment that is beyond amazing. We've got the old farm equipment, the new farm equipment that's always a big crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And a lot of things in there that you just don't see in other parades, and that's how we want to keep it. We ask people that come and want to enter the parade that they have something that's heritage themed, so that they can come, that whether it's kids or adults or whoever it is, can be able to come and see something that's a little bit different and unique than the other parades that you see around.
Yeah. Now, you talked about some of those antique farm equipment. Do you know what some of the oldest ones are that we tote through the parade? Some people are really into those antiques.
Yeah,
they're cool.
As they should be. I love antiques myself, but the antique tractor show is huge. I don't know how old they are, but they've got them, all kinds of different farm equipment, hay rakes, things like that people bring. So I don't know how old they are, but I think they date back to since our ancestors were here, honestly.
That's awesome.
It is.
So how many sheep actually come through during the parade?
We usually plan on about 1,000 head of sheep.
There's really 1,000?
There's really about 1,000. It depends on the year. The Nelson family has been doing it for most of the 20 years that we've done it. Works out really well for them because they actually are trailing their sheep from their mountain ground.
Okay.
They want to get the sheep and the animals off before the snow flies so that it makes it easier. And then they trail them from the sheep trail that we talk about all the way out to their farmland in the valley. But we plan on about 1,000 head of sheep unless they have less that year for some reason or another.
For whatever reason, I was thinking it was just, 300 to 400 or maybe a couple hundred. I didn't realize there was 1,000 sheep.
Yeah, we usually plan on 1,000. Some years it could be less. Yeah. And we have had people say we're disappointed, and I'm going, well, sorry, they just didn't have as many this year to bring down as they've had in the past.
Right.
But we do what we can to.
So for those that aren't, and I kind of want to dive into some of the more of the event, but also kind of the reason why this is so important to our area. But for those that don't know, what in agriculture, what purpose do sheep serve? We know you can get wool from sheep, right? But they serve a broader purpose than that. Can you kind of help educate maybe a little bit on how farmers and ranchers use sheep and why? Well,
the sheep are good for a lot of reasons. Sheep, and I have to throw cattle in there as well.
Yeah, please.
If you look at the whole dynamics of what happens when you're grazing animals, they're good for the environment. They're great. They graze. They eat down some of the weeds and things like that we need. They're a good resource for food. The wool from the sheep, of course. Cows have their own different thing, but they just really help replenish the earth. They till it up. They do all of the things that you need to keep the earth moving. That's what it was meant for. So
yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at is a lot of the grazing. I mean that plays an important role. I mean, where I'm out running, I live a little out west, and where I'm out running, I'm constantly seeing like the sheep or the cattle out grazing on a lot of these different fields.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm asking, I kind of know some of this. I don't claim to be any kind of rancher or cowboy. Clearly, I'm not. But for those that are listening, is the grazing for prepping, or is it for after they've already harvested, or what's the timing on a lot of that grazing when they have it on there? And if you don't know all the ins and outs,
Right.
that's fine. I'm just trying to quiz you a little bit to help maybe educate the general public about what purpose this serves.
Oh, and it's a good question. When you see them out in the valley, typically most people have grown alfalfa or whatever other vegetation or crops that they have, and then they put so during the summer, that's when it grows.
Mm-hmm.
They bring them down after they've been on the mountain for the winter range, and they will put them on the fields to continue eating what's there.
Mm-hmm.
And once it's gone or the snow flies, then they have the hay or alfalfa or whatever to feed the animals that they have spent the summer growing. On the mountain, they go up there, and then there's the natural grasses, and that makes it so that they don't have to feed them when they're up there. They usually have a water source and the natural vegetation and stuff that they eat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I know I'm not the best at that, but that's how it works. So it's great to have them on the mountain because we're not actually feeding them the hay, and then during the time they're on the mountain, they're growing the hay or the alfalfa, baiting it, hauling it, and getting it ready to feed them and have a source to feed their animals in the winter.
So walk me through the different seasons when they're on the mountain, when they're here grazing, etc. So they're on the mountain in the wintertime? You said?
No, we bring them down off the mountain because.
Sorry, I said it backwards.
No, that's backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the winter, well, right about now, and the reason that we have the festival, I'll start with the period that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's about the time that everybody's bringing all of their livestock off the mountain.
Yeah. Hence, we're gearing up for the parade and the festival.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why we have it every year. The third weekend in October, because that's when people try to have their livestock off the mountain. Once the snow flies, they obviously don't have the food or the vegetation that they need to eat and survive. So it's our job as the stewards of the land to go gather them up, and we bring them down to the fields in the valley.
Yeah.
For the wintertime.
So I had said it backwards, but that's what I meant was the intent is you got to get them off the mountain because the snow and there's not grazing for them during that time, which seems obvious to us and locals, but people don't necessarily understand why you go through this process every year. Right?
Right.
So one thing that I wanted to dive into, and then I kind of want to dive into the broader event as well, is, my job in economic development is to recruit business to the area and to support existing business that buoys the economy, creates jobs, etc. And one thing that has been a historical benefit to us here in Cedar City and Iron County is agriculture, livestock. That's why you're calling it the Livestock and Heritage Festival, right?
Correct.
And so, but it's very easy to kind of overlook the contributions when you don't see a nice shiny new building coming up, right? That creates 50 new jobs or whatever the case might be. But agriculture historically has always played a very important role in our way of life. And so I'm kind of blabbing a little bit about that, but what are some of your thoughts on that and why agriculture is so important to our area?
Well, it's huge in my opinion. If you go back to, that's kind of what brought people here is for the farmers, the ranchers, the agriculture that was here, the mines. I mean, all of the things that are the natural resources that we have. One of my favorite stories is with SUU, and at the time when they were trying to get that put together and made and get the college going, the university. The farmers and ranchers all got together because that's who we had in the area. They mortgaged their sheep. They
mortgaged their sheep.
That's my understanding.
Wow.
Yes, and they've done a really neat documentary the university has, and they would go up the mountain. They called it Back Up the Mountain, where they would take their horses and their manpower, and they helped build the university. Oh, wow. So Old Sorrel, you've probably heard the story of Old Sorrel. If you haven't, everybody needs to.
Do you want to give the highlight?
Well, I can try. The Old Sorrel was a horse. They've just outside of the. Tell me what it is where they play basketball.
Oh,
they've got the sculpture of Old Sorrel.
oh yeah, outside of
Yeah.
the basketball stadium at the university.
Yes.
You're saying yes.
And this horse would go to the mountain, and he would trek through the snow to help bring all of the lumber and the supplies necessary to build the university. So agriculture with the university, and the university is huge to Cedar City, as we all know, but the agriculture people, the farmers, the ranchers, the sheepmen, the livestock people, they were a huge part of getting SUU going.
Yeah.
Because they needed it for our community. There's neat old pictures of the ag department, and you'll see sheep and stuff grazing on the lawns of the university. It's really what helped grow our community, and it's turned into something that we still have a lot of, but people don't necessarily see it.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of farmers, a lot of ranchers, a lot of opportunities here for growth in it. I mean, a lot of the farms and stuff are getting ate up by the growth in the community, but it's still a huge part of our community and our lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that with the university, because there was a need back then, or they identified a need to have a university in education. And what's interesting about the contribution of our farmers and our ranchers to helping build up SUU is that SUU has played, I think, a significant role in Cedar City and Iron County what it is today.
Absolutely.
Right? So to have a Division I university here now with the Utah Shakespeare Festival, the Utah Summer Games, none of that really would have been possible had it not been for these forefathers, these ancestors that you're talking about, that stemmed a lot from the farming and ranching community, right?
Correct.
And so, what's always hard too, and there's lots of strong thoughts and opinions. It's about this because saving our farmland's important. Saving our agriculture is important because, well, where are we going to get lettuce? To even go on your McDonald's burger, your Big Mac, where do you get the lettuce for that and the tomato and all that? It's farming and ranching, right? And there's always this hard balance as generations go on where the next generation inherits the land and doesn't necessarily want to farm.
Correct.
Now, you see some approaches where they'll lease it, and for a lot of years, they lease the land to other farmers and ranchers, right? But what's hard sometimes is that gets sold off to other developments, housing, and manufacturing, some of these things. And what's important in our community is trying to maintain a balance in that growth and in that development, right? Preserving our water and those sorts of things. So when I'm recruiting businesses that come in, one of the big questions we ask is, well, how much water are you using? And the process that you do, can it be used in a different way? Or can it be done with using less water? Because there's a huge need for our agriculture on water. And ag is one of the big water users.
It is.
For a reason. That's how you grow. That's how you grow plants, right? That's how you take care of livestock, right? And so, thanks for indulging me a little bit on that monologue. I don't know if you have kind of some of the thoughts on the economic value that it has to the community.
Well, I feel like it has a huge economic value on the community. I do understand as well that there's some issues and some misunderstandings, especially when it comes to water. The agriculture does take a lot of water. It takes a lot of water to grow any kind of crops. If you get into the water issue, that would take us a whole other podcast. But it is a big issue. Anybody who moves here, water comes up.
Yeah.
But without the farmers and ranchers, that's where I would really love to see people get educated. I'd love to see their children get educated. I would love them to see the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of care, the amount of love, the amount of, they're the real stewards of the land.
Yeah.
The farmers, the ranchers, their livelihood depends on it. They have to have the land in tip-top shape. They have to do what they need to do. They have to make sure they're preserving the water. They have to make sure that the crops are growing and that the mountains are preserved and everything is preserved. If not, they can't do what they do.
Yeah.
And by doing this, they do put food on the tables. They're, where our kids need to understand, you go to McDonald's and get a hamburger. They're not just coming from McDonald's.
Yeah, right.
This is part of what we do here. And it has been a huge part of our community. And I think people fail to see that. So that's another part of our festival that we're quite proud of is we want to put it out there. We want people to understand that it's an important part of our world in general, and that it's great to bring the kids and have them educated and let them see the hard work and the sacrifices that go into doing what these people do.
You know, it's funny because I was kind of jabbing at myself a little bit, saying, well, I kind of know some of the background of this, but I'm clearly no cowboy or rancher or whatever. But I can tell you there are some who like with the animals, just love the animals. Some of these kids that get involved in FFA and some of these programs. Matter of fact, we have some family members. Some of their kids have gotten into it, and there's the one kid that is total cowboy or cowgirl, and they live in the middle of a city somewhere. It's because they see the animals, they see the lifestyle, and they fall in love with it.
Right.
And, you know, to some that might seem peculiar, that are, you know, living in the city and everything. But for those that are engaged with it and know it and love it, it's hard to kind of explain. And I don't know I don't know how to say exactly what I'm saying, but I know you understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I
you
do.
know, for those that love it. Now, when I was a kid, I worked on a little like 3-horse ranch. I would clean stalls and do all those things. And I still attribute that to all my hay fever of today, you know.
That happens for sure.
Yeah. And so that's why I say I kind of have this background understanding of some of that's going on, which is part of why I think it was important to have you come on, which leads me to another random digression. So for those that don't know, Donna is a local realtor, right? Okay. And the reason why Donna and I met is when I moved here, we were looking to build a house and we were looking all over, and we found a location that we wanted to build a house, and you kind of represented that neighborhood, and you and I got chatting, and I don't know how it came up, but just something came up about you with the Livestock and Heritage Festival. I'm like, wait, what? We've got to have you on the podcast.
You did.
So tell us, we're gonna digress a little bit. Let's get to know Donna a little bit. So tell us what your actual day job is and what you do and who you work for.
Okay. Well, my actual day job is I am a real estate agent. I'm with ERA Realty Center and have been for about 20 years now. Love selling real estate. There's the catch-22 in my life of wanting Cedar to stay small and the one stoplight town that I grew up in. But it's nice to see it grow, and it's nice to see it develop, and it's great to see people move here that have the same values and things that we all have, and watch our city grow and do what it's doing today. So I was raised in a ranching, farming lifestyle. I know nothing different. We raised cattle, and I have to say I've never raised sheep and don't know that we care to, but we love the sheep.
Well, everybody kind of has their niche, right?
They do.
Those that do the cattle, those that do the sheep, and beyond. So
right. And my family and the people I grew up with as well. One of my best friends that's on the committee, her family has a ranch as well. So that's just what we grew up doing. We didn't know any other lifestyle than making sure that the animals were fed before we were taken care of and doing that type of stuff. So it's in my blood. I love it. We were able to grow up bringing our cattle with our children down the Livestock Trail and all the way out to the valley, and our grandchildren are learning from it now too. And
awesome.
So that's my passion for this. That's my passion for watching this and wanting it to continue to succeed and wanting to share it with everybody like yourself. I mean, it's great meeting you and your wife and your kids and thinking, hey, we've got this really neat thing. We want to share it with you. Yeah. We want you to see what we do on an everyday basis, and, hopefully get your children involved and get them educated as to what the lifestyle is.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting that you talked about the catch-22, like seeing it grow, and you work as a realtor, yet you're trying to educate with the Livestock and Heritage Festival of the importance of the ag and preserving that. And it really is a balance, right?
It is balance.
Because I hear all the time in my job, why can't you bring a Costco? Or, why can't you bring an Olive Garden? People want Target, and some people are like, no, don't bring that. And other people are like, yes, bring it. Even the people that are in ag are like, we could really use a Costco,
Right.
and that's a whole different level of education of what it takes. But it does take growth. Like, for example, Costco, they want 110,000 population within a 5-mile radius.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of towns in all of Utah that meet that threshold. So it's about working with those companies and helping them see, well, our dynamic is a little bit different. For example, our Walmart's the number 1 grossing Walmart in sales in Utah, number 2 for visitations. Well, that's because we have people clear from Panaca that comes over to shop here, right? Down from Bryan Head, even Bryce Canyon,
Garfield County.
Garfield County, Ruby's Inn. Once, I think they said once a week or maybe every other week, they shuttle their employees down here for doctor's appointments and shopping.
Yeah.
And so we have this regional draw. And so you can see there's a way to address some of the growth, and we need growth to sustain, so that not everything's just on the burden of taxpayers, right?
Right.
That we can balance. That's really one of the 2 main points of economic development, is to create jobs for our locals to be able to stay here. Because so many people say, my kids have to move away, or I've tried to come back to Cedar, but I can't because I can't find a job or a house. And so my job is to help create jobs, but it's also to diversify our economy. So when we bring in a manufacturer that takes a property that maybe only brought in $1,000 a month or a year in property tax, now brings in, I'm making up numbers here, 100,000 in property and personal taxes. That buoys it up so that we can maintain our rates low, so those living here don't have to feel that burden when we really need a new road over here, or need new sewer or water infrastructure. Clearly, I'm going off on a tangent here, but
no, it's a good one.
Trying to find, and that's why I'm glad you mentioned. It almost feels like a catch-22, but I would say it's more of a figuring out the balance, right?
Correct.
Because we need growth to some degree to benefit us, but we also have to preserve what made us good, and that's why I referred to Cedar City as a transitioning rural town. But Iron County as a whole is still a very classic rural town. I think of our population of about 65,000 in Iron County, about 45,000 are in city proper, and then another 10,000 are right around the outskirts
in the counties,
of Cedar City. You know what I mean? In the counties or in Enoch, so it's the living or the residents are all pretty much here. And then the rest out is the ag land, the open land, things like that. So anyway, sorry for that long.
No, it's a good one.
Yeah, if you have thoughts too.
Well, and it's something that needs to be addressed. I know people get so frustrated and upset with the people who are selling off their farmland.
Sure, yeah.
And there again, we have the balance, like you say,
property rights and
property rights, and we've got the old time families that live here, and there's a lot of them. We know most of them. People get so upset when they're selling off their farmland, but there again, the amount of money that they can get, which to sell it for developments or things like that, it's just not sustainable to continue to farm it. There's not tons of money. It's a good way to make a living, but that's what happens, and that's part of the growth. And it breaks my heart to see these old farms turned into development lands, but that's part of the growth. The people who are fortunate enough to be able to continue to farm it and to continue to, raise their livestock, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what we love to see. We all love it. We all love the farmland. We all love to, to have it there and surrounded by it. But there is a balance that we have to keep to keep the city going.
So on the note of that balance and helping educate, that's part of why I wanted to have you on here is, we're on the podcast, we're talking about all the great things going on in town. And highlighting our economic development and businesses and tourism opportunities. But having you come on here is let's dive in. You brought these little brochures.
I did.
Let's talk about, if you want to give kind of like maybe the high level of some of these things that will be going on. So tell us the dates, some of the events going on, and then maybe start high level, and then maybe we can dive into some of these events that you think, and fun stories that you have about some of this throughout the last 20 years that you guys have done and how this has grown.
Okay, that'll be great. So again, like I've said, we do this the third weekend in October, the last full weekend, and there's a reason for that we've talked about. That's when the cattle move from the high grounds down to the valley. So we do start out Thursday with a Grand Marshal reception. That's kind of by an invite only, where we honor some of Cedar City or Iron County's longtime contributors to our agriculture.
Oh, okay.
That's who our Grand Marshal is. We have a process every year of who we pick, and some of Cedar City or Iron County's finest people.
Have you already announced this year's Grand Marshal?
This year will be Dean and Kathy Lamro.
Okay.
If you go to our website, you'll see there they have been in the livestock industry for as long as I can remember. Great couple. We also have a honorary Grand Marshal this year. That's Jennifer Larson. Her dad, Ed Larson, was our very first Grand Marshal.
Oh, really?
So
Wonderful.
That's pretty special to us this year while we celebrate our 20th. So that's what happens Thursday night. Friday, we have all of the booths open. There's antique tractor shows. There's car shows. So out to the arena, at the Cross Hollows Arena, the Diamond Z Arena, we've got the cars on display. There's the Model A Club. There's machinery. They do horse pulls, tractor pulls. They have a dog demonstration. I hope I've got that day right. But they have a stock dog demonstration, and if you've never seen that, it's worth going and watching.
That is cool.
Yeah.
To watch those dogs. Yeah. They know what to do. You're talking with the livestock.
With the livestock, yes.
Yeah. They tell that livestock where they should be.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what. There's nothing better than a really good dog. You can ask anybody that's in the livestock industry. So it's pretty impressive to watch that.
That's awesome.
The quilt show, one of my favorite things that happens too. If that's a work of art. Anybody who's into quilting, I think it's kind of a lost art, but I'm seeing a lot more people who are getting into it. They put that on at Festival Hall. That is the only thing in our festival that doesn't happen right out at the Cross Hollows Arena or on Main Street.
Okay.
They like to do it over there because they don't want the dust and all the stuff to get on the quilts. But they put on a display that's just unmatched. It's just unbelievable. So that's worth your time to go see that. That goes on the whole weekend.
Oh, sorry. Do you know how many quilters that generally you have?
You know what? I don't, but they fill the lobby of that arena, that festival hall, and it is absolutely stunning what they do. The craftsmanship of those ladies and people over there just
some of the intricacy that they have on some of those things is crazy. I just, people have made us, like when my wife and I got married almost 20 years ago now, a couple people gave us quilts, and not just the little patterns they had, but then they did this stitching all throughout it that was just, I'd never seen anything like it. So some beautiful. Of these people have a lot of talent. It's an art in itself.
It is an art in itself, and I really commend them because it does take a lot of time and talent and love. It's got to be something that comes from the heart to make those quilts. You have to love it to spend all that time. Yes. I really commend those ladies for what they do. So it's worth taking the time to go and take a look at it.
Okay, total digression. It wasn't a quilt, but my mom, when her and my dad were first married, she started crocheting. You'll have to forgive if I'm using the wrong terms, an Afghan for my dad.
Right.
She literally, and that is nowhere near the level of intricacy that these quilts have.
That's pretty intricate.
But it took her from before I can remember, it was when I was like a toddler, till I think I was a teenager when she finished.
Oh, really?
Making this Afghan for my dad. She would just, every once in a while, and then she would like be exhausted with it and give up on it and then go back to it and finish it up. And I remember when my dad finally got it in a box, he was like, "What? It's finally done?" Because it had been like 10 years.
Yeah, that's an act of real love right there.
Well, and that's my point. Like with the quilting, the love you have to have for it, and the time and intricacy that it takes that they do that.
They do.
And that is a real, like, when we're talking heritage, that is something, kind of Utah heritage, the pioneer heritage that we see for that.
For sure. Yes.
Sorry for the interjection.
No, I'm glad, because they deserve a lot of recognition. They do. Yeah. They do a lot. Most of these quilters, the funny thing that I love about them is most quilters that I know, they have a thing for fabric. So I bet if you go in most of their houses, you're going to find a whole closet full of fabric that they still have yet to put together in a quilt. And it's a fun thing for me because I know a lot of quilters, and they're pretty impressive what they do.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
All right. Well, there was that digression. What else you got?
Well, then Saturday is.
We forgot something important.
Oh,
cowboy, poet, and musicians.
Okay, that goes on the entire weekend.
Oh, it does.
So we start the cowboy, poets, and musicians. We have a stage set up at the arena. And we've got the poets and musicians. We've got chairs set up so you can go and listen to them all day.
So it's like a cowboy poetry reading.
It is a cowboy.
Have you written any of your own poems?
I haven't, but my husband does.
Oh, your husband does?
My husband does, yes. He's into that. And this kind of goes back even further than our Livestock Festival. They used to have the Western Heritage Festival that they would hold at the university that went on for years, even prior to our festival starting. So that's been going along a lot longer. So if you've ever been to a cowboy gathering or any of that type of stuff, it is fascinating. They are just really neat. So you need to take the time to come listen to them.
I didn't realize it went all throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah, they have them scheduled. On our website, they have the actual schedule of who will be performing at what times.
Okay.
So between the different bands or individuals and the poets, there'll be entertainment most of the day, Friday and Saturday.
So you have local bands.
They're local, but some people come from out of the state, out of, there's a lot of local people, but they come from around in different areas to come and join us.
I'm just going to have a wild guess. It's country music.
It's really Western music.
Oh, it's not
really country music. It's Western music.
The original
old school kind of Western stuff. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm trying. My father growing up went through, I always joked they were his phases. And he had different like music genres he loved to listen to. So I was trying to think of some of the old Westerns that he would listen to, but I'm not thinking of the right Western artists.
If you look at people like the Sons of the Pioneers, I'm going to get them all wrong, but we have Saddle Strings. We have it's the stuff you're not going to hear on the radio.
Yeah, right.
It's really the old Western stuff that they'd sing around the campfires and just sit there and enjoy their time together.
Kumbaya style. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks for indulging in my digression.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about Saturday. How do we kick off Saturday?
Well, Saturday, I'm going to digress back again to Friday. What's something that we have? There's a wagon train that will come into Cedar City. They start out in Washington, and they do go they have like 12 wagons plus some old farm equipment.
A wagon train,
so like
a parade of wagons, basically?
Yeah, they kind of do their own thing from Washington. They stop in New Harmony, and they circle the wagons and do their thing, and then they come on into out to the Diamond Z Arena, and we'll circle their wagons there. And to get some of the history, they used to haul the wool from all over Washington, Iron County. I don't know the exact history of it, but I'm digging into it more. And they would take it out to Lund to put the wool on the train to be shipped out to different parts of the country. So that's a really neat thing that will show up on Friday. They also participate in the parade on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a spectacle. It's neat.
You use the phrase circle the wagons, and not everybody, people hear that phrase as maybe just like sometimes a business term. Well, let's circle the wagons, But tell people who don't know, what's the history of circling the wagons? Why would on these wagon trains? Why would they circle the wagon?
From what I understand, and this is probably mostly from watching movies.
I can fill in a little bit too.
Is that they would circle the wagons to watch, so that they could have a whole circle to watch for protection, whether it was animals or whatever it was that as they were traveling across our forefathers traveling across the plains, they would put their wagons in a circle. That way, they had better protection. Yeah,
that's what I was getting at. And they do like a campfire in the middle, and
the campfire and a place for them all to gather and meet and sing and eat.
Like I joked about kumbaya, but a true kumbaya. So it served as a protection, but also just a place for camaraderie of
gathering,
traveling across the plains. So anyways, so cool. All right. Well, another good digression. All right. Keep going. I'll quit trying to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. You're doing great. I like the interruptions. Saturday, we started off with the parade that we've been speaking about. It's very unique. I don't know of any place. Like you said, we have got some great recognition. We have people that travel from all over the world, honestly, to come and see this. It's grown to something we never really expected.
Yeah, I've seen international news about the sheep race.
Yeah, I was on a plane one time, and it was in one of the magazines in the back of the seat that said some of the top things to do in the West, and our Livestock Festival was there, and I was going, wow, we've really done something here.
Big time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we start out with the parade. It starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday. We have people start setting up, to watch it. It really is a neat parade. We're very proud of it. And And that's, we ask anybody who wants to participate to come and participate, but we do ask that it stay either livestock or heritage themed.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be like every other parade that you see on TV or anything like that, because we do take a lot of pride in the fact that it's unique.
Yeah.
Then after that, everything takes place out to the Cross Hollows Arena, the Diamond Z. They've got the tractor pulls, they've got the horse pulls. If you haven't seen those, they're amazing. They have the big draft horses.
For the layperson, describe what a tractor pull or a horse pull is.
So they put weights on the tractors. These are the old tractors, the antique tractors. They put weights on them, and then they see how far you can pull it. Same thing with the horses. They've got these big draft horses, these teams of draft horses that are just absolutely beautiful. They're amazing. And they love that job. They used to pull the plows and back in the day, to do the fields and to do the work,
right?
Whether it was trees or whatever they were doing. They love their jobs. Yeah. So they hook on these draft horses to these weights, and they just can't wait to the power that's behind them. Is like, we got a job to do, so it's beautiful.
And the horses are pumped and ready to roll.
Oh, beyond. Like I say, the power behind those horses is just a beautiful thing.
This is where the phrase chomping at the bit comes from,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
They're chomping at the bit, ready to roll.
Yes. So we have that. We have the vendor booths. We have got a lot of local vendors and people that come from outside of the area, but we try to keep it as local as possible. The cowboy poetry, again, will be going. This year, most years we have a Make It With Wool fashion show, which they have a show that showcases all of the
you do a wool fashion show, wool product, clothing, and everything.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So that's another really neat thing that we do. We do sheep shearing. They have a sheep shearing demonstration. So for anybody out there with small children that want to educate their kids a little bit more about where the cotton comes from, that your clothes are made from, I think it's 3 or 4 times a day during the day, they will actually have somebody there and they shear a sheep. So you can watch it. You can see them shear the whole sheep from beginning to end.
Now, you said cotton, but you meant wool, right?
That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes. I said cotton, but no, the wool that they use. And there's, they take it and what they do with it. And so it's a good learning experience to be able to see.
Yeah. My uncle up in Cache Valley, he had sheep and they would shear it every year. And I never got the distinct pleasure of helping with that. But, but my brothers would go up and help occasionally with that. Yeah,
it's kind of a neat thing. There's quite a few different shearing plants around, and I know ladies who get it and they do the wool and they spin it and they turn it into. One of my neighbors actually gets all the wool and then she goes out and she finds all of the different plants, whether it be what we may consider a weed or onions, and she turns the wool into the different colors that they used to use to make the clothing.
Wait, so she uses plants to naturally create dyes?
To naturally create dyes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
she's a neat person. It's kind of fun to watch what she does with it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Anything else going on that we haven't touched on? Cowboy Church.
Cowboy Church on Sunday. That's really the only thing. Oh, the Dutch Oven Cook-Off. We've got to go back to that.
Yeah.
That's a crowd favorite.
Yeah.
They are amazing. They have ticket sales. They're limited to 200. So
200 entries or
200 ticket sales. I think they have 6 to 7 teams, and they judge them based on different, like a main course, a dessert, a bread. They do a people's choice, so you get to go and you get to have a tasting of all of the different dishes that they've made. It's really a great thing.
It's during this podcast we're a little bit before lunchtime, and I'm already hungry. Yeah, just thinking about it.
So the ranch rodeo, if nobody's been to a ranch rodeo, it's different than your regular rodeo.
Okay, describe that a little bit.
They get a lot of the stuff that they do just on working ranches, like trailer loading, branding.
And they make it like they have contests, like who can load their trailer the fastest.
So who can load their trailer the fastest, so they have to get in there and they have to pick out a cow or a calf or a steer or whatever it is that they have and try to get it loaded into the trailer, just like they're out in the wild.
So is there any mutton busting going on?
No.
I mean, we've got sheep, so,
Unfortunately, we don't have mutton busting at our event, but that's maybe something we ought to look at. But we've got too much going on to try to add one more event at this point.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that is part of the loading the trailer thing. Hey, child, go
jump
wrestle
on
that
it.
one that's running away.
We do it a lot, whether it's a cow or a calf or a sheep, or it's like, let's put a kid on it and see how far they can go. So that happens a lot.
Mutton busting's a classic, but those more at the traditional rodeos.
Yes,
and such.
yes.
But I like the ranch rodeo because that's really where what we now see as traditional rodeos.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where rodeo stems from.
Correct.
Is more this ranch rodeo
Right.
style. Who can do some of this ranch work the fastest.
Right.
Roping
and branding.
and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. That's where it all stems from. Now it's like a sport and a competition, but really it stemmed from getting the work done, right?
And it still does. With the ranch rodeo, they have what's called the team branding. And
Mhm.
so they have to have somebody rope the cattle. Somebody else has to get the branding iron from the fire. They use chalk, but they go over and have to brand the.
I see.
But that we that's what we still do with my family to this day.
Yeah.
When we're branding and working the cattle, is we have all of the kids and the big kids, and they're trying to get the cows and get them and brand them. And the reason we brand them is to make sure that we know whose cattle's who.
Yeah.
So it's a tradition that goes back from way back when. So it's really a neat thing.
Before we moved here, I had a house on a mountain elsewhere in Utah, and we constantly had cattle,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always a question, whose cow is this?
Mhm.
Or whose cattle is this?
Right.
And so, and we could discover by the brand, but after a while we knew, even without looking at the brand, okay, that's so and so.
yeah.
Give them a call.
Tell them to come get their cow.
And their cow is way like 3 properties past the Forest Service or wherever their lease is from, and
Yeah.
so we would call them up and they would come get them and everything. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that aren't familiar with ranching
Mm-hmm.
don't understand what the purpose of the branding is,
Mhm.
right?
That's the purpose of it, is so you can identify each individual's
Yeah.
cattle. And since it's our 20th this year, we did a really neat thing this year too, where we gathered all of the brands and we've made our merchandise that have all of the local brands on them. So
that's
people were able to display their brands, and we went back to some of the old from SUU and that type of thing. So this year's a little bit special. Well, it's quite special because, number one, we've managed to do it for 20 years.
Yeah.
But every 5 years we have done it's kind of a fundraiser for us, but we have everybody put their brands on our merchandise. So that makes it fun.
So there is another thing that stems from agriculture and livestock is just the word brand.
Mhm.
Nowadays, when we talk about businesses
Mhm.
or somebody's style is on brand,
Right.
that means like it's identifiable. You know that McDonald's logo or
Right.
that GE logo. That stems from branding livestock
Mhm.
to know whose it is. And we use that term so casually now. And there's a lot of terms nowadays you could go all back to
Right.
agriculture
Right.
and go back
They
to
do.
livestock ranching
Yeah.
and farming. And that one, all these little connections are going in my mind as we're talking about like kind of helping the public better understand and educate. Branding goes back to knowing whose cow is that,
Right.
to knowing what company is that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, any other fun, special things you're doing for the 20th to kind of really promote the 20th? You mentioned this just a second ago.
Yeah. Well, we do have the honorary Grand Marshal,
Mhm.
whose father was the first Grand Marshal.
Yeah.
Way back. We've done the brands. This year's been a little bit unique because the Diamond Z arena is under construction.
Yeah, we're expanding, right?
We're expanding,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's
we're
a good sign.
very excited for it. Don't love the fact that it happened on our 20th.
Yeah.
But it's created a few issues for us, but that's okay. We can
Well,
get
on
by
the
it.
25th, we'll be totally
Yes, the 25th.
roaring
We're
on the 25th
looking
anniversary.
forward to that. We're very, very excited to be celebrating our 20th.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We were, kind of hoping for a little bit different, but we're doing what we can to make it be as neat and special as it can be for our 20th. So
Okay, so tell me, before we wrap up, I need to hear what are some of the funnest stories or craziest stories about the festival over the last 20 years? Are there ones that just come to mind? You're like, oh my gosh, this one time
Yeah.
a horse got out but we were safe and whatever happened. Anything comes to mind?
The funnest part of it really is the sheep in the parade. And, for us, we want it to run smooth, but for everybody they're watching, like that when the sheep get a little out of control.
Yeah, because it's more
that's
entertaining.
That's not fun, by the way. But
Yeah.
the first year they down between Center and, not Center, I'm sorry, 200 North and Main, they saw the city park in the grass there, and they started jumping over people to go over onto the city park. So
this was 20 years ago.
No, it wasn't quite 20 years ago. It wasn't 20 years ago by any means. And so we've got all of the people on horses and, the people watching the parade and sheep jumping over them and doing.
I can't remember. Do you have the dogs out while you're doing the parade, or do you have the dog, just the people on the horses?
Just the people on the horses,
okay.
yeah. And dogs are something that we try to, unless it's the people moving the sheep, try to keep dogs away because they do disrupt them.
So the sheep were jumping over people because they wanted to get to that green. The grass is greener on the other side.
Absolutely. That's what they did. So that was interesting. And then another time they got down towards the post office. This was only a few years ago for anybody who didn't see that, but they decided to go way off course. We actually had a different herd of sheep for the first time in years. The Nelsons couldn't make it for some reason, and these sheep decided that they wanted to go a different direction. So they went through the post office.
Yeah.
This was only 2-3 years ago, I believe. Well, maybe it was during COVID because we kept it going. That's the thing that everybody needs to understand. Even though the world's shut down, the animals still have to be moved.
Right, yeah.
But we had a different herd of sheep, and they went through the post office and were wandering around people's backyards. And so we were calling in the troops and trying to get as many cowboys and horses and stuff over there to get them rounded back up. But that always makes for a really fun and interesting time is when the sheep decide not to do what we want them to to do. And they do have a mind of their own. So that's why.
Well, that's part of the nature of the beast,
it
right?
It is.
Ranching and managing livestock.
That's right.
How do you go about that?
That's right. Whether you're on a horse or whatever, they do have a mind of their own. So we have to make sure that we respect that.
Now, in addition to the sheep parade, what over the years, since we're talking 20 years, over the years, what have been some of your favorite moments in the Heritage Festival?
That's a good question. It's grown so much, and some of my favorite moments are seeing some of the people who come. I love watching the kids. There's, like I said, we grew up with this lifestyle. My kids and my grandkids have always been around animals. They've always been around the horses, the sheep, the cattle. You see little kids that come and have no idea about, where we came from, why this industry is there, and to let them be a part of that. That's one of the things that I truly love. I love seeing people come from out of the country who have traveled to Cedar City just for this event.
Yeah.
That, again, get to experience something that a lot of people just don't get to experience.
Yeah.
And, we get the cowboy poets, we get the quilters. There's every year, I guess there's just a sense of pride in the fact that we have created something that is so unique and that people can come and really appreciate and get a taste of the past.
Yeah.
Of what it used to be like, of what it was. And I think that's probably my favorite part of the whole festival is watching the people and seeing their reaction and seeing their reaction to the equipment. You've seen the modern equipment that come in the parade.
Yeah.
They've got the steamers and the hay bales, and that's what we're doing today, as opposed to way back when we had the draft horses that were working in the field. So watching the progression and seeing where it started as to where it's come today and educating people.
Yeah. When you're talking about some of the modern stuff, some of those tractors have some incredible technology, the new ones,
unbelievable.
That blows your mind. You're thinking you just have this farm boy out there running a tractor, but there's a lot of technology now that's available for agriculture. It's crazy and it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So your explanation there about kind of what your favorite is led me to, I think, what I want as kind of the final note of for you, Donna, and we've talked a little bit about this throughout our time right now, but why do you love it? Why do you do it? Why do you keep doing it? You've been doing it for 20 years, but why? What is it about this that Donna Christensen loves so much, and what makes it so great?
I just have to go back to my family and my kids and the way I grew up. and raised my children, and now we get to raise our grandchildren in the same lifestyle. There's a sense of responsibility. There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of work ethic. That's my favorite part of it. Is I want every child, every person to see what it is and what's behind it, and it's something that I think is very, very important for everybody to understand. It's not just a way of, it's a lifestyle. It's what we do. It's, raising the animals, and I think it's very important that we continue to educate people.
Agree.
You talk about you've got the one person in your family that wants to be a cowboy. They live in the city, but they don't understand at all how it works. We've got all this open space here, and we've got the farmers and the ranchers that are the stewards of the land. They're the people that are out there that want to keep it going, that want it to be the best it can possibly be, and to educate people everywhere that's what we're here for. Yeah. That's what we do. And that's why I think it's important to keep it going.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So it's been a pleasure to have you on. Donna Christensen, who's the chair of the committee for the Cedar Livestock and Heritage Festival. So glad you came on, and we're looking forward to having the festival here in the near future.
Okay. We hope to see everybody there.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Okay.